What is going on, guys? Steve here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at some pitch notes again, but it's not Ultimate Team, it's Career Mode. Now, I have been known to play Career Mode on the channel in the past. We are going back a long way though. FIFA 15, FIFA 16 was the last time I really did it. Basically, this channel it's always really been a sort of Ultimate Team channel, you know, but I really like Career Mode, even though it hasn't changed in years. I still really like it, and it's something that I play off camera, not, you know, religiously, and I don't go through season after season after season, but I'll probably play like 2 or 3 seasons in a FIFA life cycle, and I don't really get that much time to play anything outside of just doing videos, so I do put time into it. If this sounds promising, and if you guys want to see one, I would be more than happy to do a career mode from day one in FIFA 20, alongside an Ultimate Team Road to Glory, and we'll do player reviews as well. So 3 videos a day, Road to Glory, career mode, and a player review. And I think that would be a brilliant balance, because I don't consider career mode as playing FIFA, because Ultimate Team is it's sort of mentally challenging, and it takes a lot of concentration. It's stressful. It's ragey. Playing against the AI isn't ragey. If you lose, you lose. It doesn't matter. It's part of the sort of the story that you're creating for yourself. It's not a big deal. You lose in Foot Champions, it's a whole other ball game. So it won't really feel like I'm playing FIFA to do a career mode. So let me know what you think of that in the comments. But before I decide whether I'm that interested, let's see what this career mode pitch notes is all about. I've not read it yet. I will read as much of it as I can. English is not my first language. True story, believe it or not. And I know roughly what to expect, because I've been told about a few things, but I've not read it myself, so they may have left some big fundamental flaws. Or people have read it wrong, because that tends to happen a lot. Hey, FIFA fans! This cycle has been an incredibly busy one for the entire career mode team. Makes a change. Alongside putting a lot of time and effort into pre-production this year, we've worked towards building a number of brand new features that are focused on bringing more depth and authenticity to career mode. We hope you enjoy the news we are here to share today. Okay, so far that looks the same. I'm guessing that's not meant to look different. So we'll move on. Career mode feedback from the community. Okay, we have heard the feedback coming from our players in the past years, and have finally decided to do something about it. And we wanted to ensure that FIFA 20 will mark an important milestone, not only for FIFA in general, but especially for career mode fans. We strive to evolve and create experiences in FIFA that give our users more diversity and choice each year. The information below will shed some light on the new experiences we have been developing for some time now, and that we are working hard to further refine right at this moment. So basically a bunch of jargon about saying we know career mode has been bollocks, but we are trying to improve it, and hopefully this is the first step. They could have just summed it up in one sentence. Press conferences and player conversations. So this is the first new feature. We have player conversations in the game, but they're bad. You know, they're notoriously just one-liners. And, you know, they come to you wanting football or whatever, and it's all in email form. This looks like it's actually going to be sort of cinematic. PES have this, to my knowledge. I don't know the ins and outs of it, because I don't really play PES single-player stuff. I used to, but in, like, Master League and things, they've always had sort of, you know, players being unveiled, and if you are playing, like, a player career or whatever, then you go to things like this, and you get involved with agents and things. So it'll be interesting to see if they've done anything like that. As we just mentioned, our main drive is adding highly relevant features that would represent an important step forward for career mode, and especially manager career. This year the new feature lineup is represented by press conferences, player conversations, and all the intricate tools and logic sitting behind these features. I mean, it's just a bunch of jargon. You just need to get to the point. So this is the first... I've scrolled through it, looked at the pictures, so I've seen this GIF or whatever this is of a player, or a manager, sorry, sitting down. He looks far too young to be a manager. The new manager of Real Madrid sitting down to talk about their upcoming fixture against Real Valladolid or whatever. I can't stop that. I do apologise. It's bugging. It's going to keep going. Our vision was to breathe new life into manager career experience by leveraging the huge amount of data that playing this mode generates and build a variation of ever-changing stories that would surface to our players through the pre- and post-match press conferences and player conversations. These are not just general storylines that we put together to mimic authenticity. These are stories built based on player progress is a word but not the correct one, which each player will be able to interact with and influence the morale of the team and their standing as the team's manager. Now, that's given me epilepsy or something of that nature. So from what that reads, a lot of people would probably misinterpret that and think, oh, there are storylines this year. No. Basically, you are going to create your own story by having your own press conferences. You're going to be given options, one would think, sort of journey style, whether you get a balanced or fiery or maybe for the fans or something of that nature, responses in press conferences. So whereas before you had a press conference very much like in an email-based system where you could sort of motivate your team, praise your team, or question another manager's motives or whatever, it didn't really have an impact on anything. It was more for just, your mind sort of thing. Now they have, I think, a morale system, so I'm being told this year, so I'm guessing that would affect it. New tools developed in-house by Career Mode team enabled our producers and designers to leverage this large amount of data and create enormous variations. What? To create enormous variations, I don't think that's correct, of storylines that are deeply rooted in the player's experience and your way of playing. This means that the experience of each match will be treated differently by the journalists and will always feel authentic and dynamic depending on highly on the outcome, goal scored, opponent, time of seasons, blah, blah, blah. So, depending on if you lose, like, say, for instance, you're a Premier League club, you're going for Europa League, you've just lost the bottom of the league, that's going to have a bigger impact as opposed to you losing to a team mid-table or something. That's what it sounds like. The tools we envisioned and built, as well as the amount of logic behind the stories, is brand new territory to Career Mode, and we are excited for all Career Mode fans to be able to enjoy and share their feedback on these newly added features. It's just a bunch of nonsense, though, isn't it? Like, I hate reading these things. Make it a 5-minute video telling me about it, rather than me having to read it and just listen to your regurgitated mumbo-jumbo. Because that's all it is. It's just they're throwing words at me. It doesn't really mean anything. Press conferences will represent the main venue where the manager will take questions and answer them, obviously, both before important matches, but also immediately after. Both the pre- and post-match press conference will leverage newly built scenes specifically designed to be part of the manager career experience. As much as I like it, and it'll be cool, and hopefully, as they say, it's sort of always something that's developing, and it sort of builds a story, I hope it doesn't get to one of those things where, now I've got to go do a press conference, because in Football Manager I always leave the press conferences to my assistant manager because I can't be bothered, because it's the same thing over and over. Yeah, you get different questions, and if you're really into it, then feel free, go for it, but I just hand it off because after a while it's just the same thing. Player conversations will mainly serve as a one-on-one interaction between the manager and players within the team through a messaging app-like interface. So that's basically what this is down here. Sergio Ramos is moaning. Oh, he's not moaning, he's welcoming the manager to the team, my bad. Within both, you will be able to choose the way in which you tackle large variety of situations and, based on your methods, either positively or negatively influence the player morale as well as your rating as a manager. So that's what's happening there. In the same way as the press conferences, the newly added conversations enjoy the same level of complexity. The manager will have to deal with a variety of requests from the players as well as a happy or disgruntled players that are trying to get their thoughts across. The manager will have to find ways either through direct actions or by communicating his or her stance in order to mitigate and solve these situations. Now, I don't know whether we had female managers in FIFA 19, but we do in 20 by the sound of things. Not that that makes a blind bit of difference to anyone involved, apart from maybe women who play the game. Player morale system. So, very much like the journey sort of selection things, as I said, that's pretty much what's happening here, and then your morale for the club and the player will go up or down based upon what you actually say. That's, again, I'm not going to read that because that's literally what it says. If you're in a press conference, you're asked a question about a specific player, and you give a negative answer, it's going to negatively affect his morale. How much morale affects players in game is, I don't know, it doesn't say. It says, having a high morale will be highly desired as players' morale will influence their attributes in upcoming matches. So there we go. So potentially, we don't know because we haven't seen it yet, potentially if Isco is in sort of poor morale, he may not be as good as what he should be. So, for instance, he's got, I don't know, say he's got 90 short passing. If he's got poor morale, he might have 86 short passing, which is interesting. I don't know if a player in real life would be affected that heavily if they were unhappy. Maybe they would be. I don't know. So, manager customization. Now, this is something that literally doesn't interest me in the slightest. I don't care. It's good that it's in there. And the variation there is insane. You know, you've got the proper manager there with the tie and the shirt and the suit and all that nonsense, and then you've got someone over here who forgot his socks and his tie. Someone else in a tracksuit. You've got female characters in there as well. Guy without the jacket. Someone in a jumper. Some cash guy on the right here. Pink shoes there. It's good. It is an array of customization, and the detail looks a lot better. The graphics looks a lot better. So, I mean, again, it says that you won't be familiar with the avatars. This manager was created in-game with our manager creation tools. We're finally making a leap towards in-depth customization of managers' avatars. I mean, you're going to get to see them on the sidelines, and now, of course, you'll see them in press conferences. So I suppose customization could be a lot more important than what it used to be. So that's fair enough. And that's basically what they're saying there. You'll be able to change your manager's outfit at any moment during the season, so that's cool. More customization options for, you know, making your manager look different. In fact, I don't even think you could you? No, you couldn't. You had to pick a preset face, or maybe you could scan your own. I can't remember that much, but yeah, you could. I always have to choose that young guy that was on offer. Again, you can choose headbands and hats and stuff, which is, you know, all this is cool. I'm not that bothered by it necessarily, but, you know, maybe in the summer months you could wear a hat, and then going into the winter you put a bobble hat on or something. Turn up to press conferences with a bobble hat on. Might make you look like a bit of a crazy person, but still, the option is there, and I like it. So, live news screenshots, another area where we aimed to deliver more diversity year over year, and leverage the players' in-game experience, was the news in FIFA 20. We will use gameplay screenshots showing key moments of any given match and creating relevant pieces of news from this content. In this way, we now have the means to highlight memorable moments during your career mode experience and allow you to build and surface your own stories. So that's cool. So for years I've been asking for, I mean, it doesn't look like it's in there, but for years I've been asking for, you know, like Deadline Day, Jim White and all that nonsense. They've got a Sky Sports partnership of sorts. Or, you know, even if they don't have one, they could have created their own. So as on Deadline Day, Laporte has just signed for Barcelona or something, then, you know, it should be Deadline Day. There's a little like news snippet of Jim White talking about Laporte potentially going to Barca. I don't know how easy it is to do. I'm not necessarily saying Jim White should be there, but that kind of thing would be cool. But it looks like we're going to get like, you know, sort of like almost a match of the day snippet or something for important moments through career mode. The League UI themes, or the new system that they've got, so in the background you'll see that it's the Premier League, because it's going to be a Premier League tie. And if we scroll down, they've got one there from Spain, and then they've got the Champions League one in the background. It's very simple stuff, but again, it's good. I like it. Dynamic player potential. This is what people keep going on about, and this is what I've heard a lot about. I haven't read it, so here we go. One of the heavily requested improvements to the way players develop through each season was to have their potential change based on their performance. Potentially for players within your own squad will evolve. Potential for players within your own squad will evolve over time based on player performance in the previous season. Scored a lot of goals with a young prospect in his breakthrough season. His potential will be even higher in the upcoming season. Kept a run of good performances. going with an older player close to retirement. His potential will be even higher, or will be higher, in the upcoming season, which means that the decrease of his attributes will stall for a longer period of time. That, before we finish reading it, is phenomenal, because the amount of times, right, and I don't know whether the retirement thing kicks in as early as it used to. If you go and start a career mode now with any team, you look at Crouch after the first 6 months and he's retiring every single time. And it happens to nearly every single player over the age of 34, even sometimes younger. They will just retire instantly. It's so irritating. I don't know whether that, based on sort of performance, may help. So if they're still performing to a higher level, maybe Crouch is at Man United and he's still scoring goals or whatever, will he then continue to play? I mean, there's got to be a cut-off point. He's not going to play till he's 63, but, you know, it would be cool if they were to play on a little bit longer. Potential will decrease if a player hasn't been performing well in the previous season or he hasn't received enough play time. So you must ensure high-promising starlets put in the work to achieve their potential. That is good and bad. Good because, obviously, any player can go to any rating now, from what I'm hearing. From what it sounds like, anyway. You know, it's going to be a case of you can't go on Foothead anymore and generally find out the best 5 players to buy, because any player can reach that level so long as they're playing well enough, which is cool. But at the same time, you have got a player that you know is going to be 90 rated in the future, but he's not quite good enough to get on your first team right now. Tough. You either have to play him or you've got to loan him out, because otherwise he's just going to sit there and rot and he'll get even worse. So, yeah, that's good. It gives you another sort of almost dynamic to career mode now. Gives you something else to think about. New negotiation environments. I don't really care about that. Negotiations for me, I tend to try and just pass it off. I try and ask my, whether it's director of football or whatever they are, to, what's the word? I delegate that action, because I can't be bothered to keep going into them. But no, it's cool that they've added something a little bit different. That's good. Nice little comparison screen there, which is decent. Just little things here or there. Spot fixes and balancing changes. So you've got that. This is good because you've got like the morale system. Obviously, it's going to be an important part of career mode. That's nice next to the players. This comparison is decent. This is all basically the same, the substitutes and things. So you've got an option to disable international management job offers, which is fantastic because they get on my nerves. Increase the initial composure attributes values of generated youth players and redistributed weights for player growth between physical, mental and skill attributes to allow a more physical growth. I don't think I'm going to read through all of these because it's going to take an awful lot of time. But in general, it seems that they've made a very conscious effort to eliminate a lot of the really annoying things and the things that it's like, oh, well, if that was a little bit different, then this whole system would be better. So, for instance, increase the player value of defensive players based on the latest transfer market activity. So, certain positions in career mode have always been super cheap for whatever reason. Apparently not so much anymore. Significantly increase the initial amounts of wage budget allocated. That was always something that you had to sort of sort out yourself. So that's obviously readjusted now. Competition changes. There's congestion issues of winter breaks roll out this season, as well as the removal of the FA Cup 5th round replay have improved fixture congestion issues in the English leagues. We've slightly altered the authentic schedule of the English Championship by pushing its completion to a later date. This ensures that schedule conflict situations between Championship rounds and European football nights aren't possible. A lot of congestion issues reported by the community were happening with midweek league rounds happening at the same time as European football, which, although unlikely in real world, is a common occurrence in career mode. So there we go, they fixed that. Added new format and schedule of the Spanish Super Cup, which is relevant if you play in Spain. Added support to round down the points in leagues that split into playoffs and halves, blah blah blah. The Austrian Bundesliga. They've made a lot. That's it basically. But they've made a lot of changes, and obviously the fourth substitute and extra time of certain competitions, or in all competitions that support the new law. There you go. Yes, I mean that's not something that I was aware of until last week actually. But I know I didn't read it all. I left out a few things. Maybe, you know, avid career mode fans will be a little bit annoyed that I've not read it all and I've gone blah, 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 or whatever. But I get the general gist. They've made a decent effort. I wouldn't say that that's fantastic. I wouldn't say, ooh, well done, they've saved career mode. But it's a start for sure, because that's the first update we've had since, oh, look, the negotiation room where you sit down and basically just do everything. It's not quite email format anymore. You've got face-to-face. Well, now they've added to it again. So it looks like that I mean, that's a big, that dynamic potential is big. There's a few other things in there as well I really like. It would have been really cool if they'd given us updates to the player career mode. Doesn't look like we've had anything there. I don't know what they could give. I mean, you need more realism. You need more immersion. I need more cutscene-esque things. We're not going to get that by the sound of things. But, you know, one step at a time, I suppose. They could have added more, but they could have added a lot less, let's be honest. So, personally, I'm happy with it. I think it's a decent step in the right direction. It'll definitely keep me playing a lot longer than it normally does. There's enough there now so I can go and get the players that I want. And, okay, there's going to be a ceiling on every player, I'm sure. It's not going to be completely open. Like, I can't take Matt Dolan from Newport County and turn him into Lionel Messi. But I'm guessing I'll be able to improve him a little bit more than what the game used to allow me to improve him to. So that's cool. As well as the immersion bits of the press conferences and stuff. Yeah, I'm interested for sure. Question is, are you? Would you like to see a career mode from day one of FIFA 20? Let me know in the comments, and also by hitting the like button. If you have enjoyed this video, you can do that as well. You can also subscribe to the channel for more FIFA 20 content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.